Hello, everybody. Dom Tiberi here, joined by Nicole Sharon and the 2014 MVP of the national title game, Tyvis Powell. All right, guys, Buckeyes lose last night to Indiana, Big Ten title game, 13-10. Your initial, what jumped out the most?
Jumped out is that this is exactly what they needed. They needed a game like this. They needed to face a defense like Indiana. That defense absolutely exposed this Buckeye secondary. Julian Sayin hasn't faced this kind of defense this entire season. They sacked him 5 times. It caused some confusion for the quarterback, and I think this is exactly what they needed. I may sound crazy, but I think this loss is potentially a good thing for the Buckeyes. Now they go into the most important time of the year with 3.5 weeks to figure out what they need to fix to make another run.
Your takeaway, Tyvis.
I don't believe that they lost. I don't believe in losses. You either win or you learn. And I think you learned a lot of things that you had to figure out. You learned that maybe this secondary has some things that they need to work on because they were tested. You went this entire season and were not tested with the receivers that Indiana brought to the table. And then when you talk about the offensive side of the ball, you know, we thought we had that run game figured out. Clearly we didn't. You thought this offensive line could protect and pick up twists and stunts. Clearly there's some things to work on there. So I think there's a lot of tape that was presented in this game that this team will take and learn from for the next 3 weeks. So learning is what I got from this game.
Now, coming out later today will be the playoff pairings, and we will have you covered from 12 to 1. We will carry it for you and break it down for you. It's going to be interesting now, Tyvis and Nicole. We thought a win would have put them, in the Rose Bowl. They would have been the #1 seed. How far do you think they drop?
I could see a world where they just swap places, where it's 1-2 just flips. I also see a world where they could drop to 3. But I will say I like the idea of them going to the Orange Bowl purely because Ryan Day can look at all those guys and say, hey, we're here in Miami right now. Well, we want to be back here come a little later in January to win that national title. So I kind of like the idea of that. But realistically, I think it could maybe be 3 the more I think about it.
What do you see, Ty?
I can see a swap. You know, you're the #2. You lost to the #2 team that's going to be the #1 team, and it was a close game. You lost by 1 field goal. So I think it's right to swap. I think at worst case scenario, they drop to 3.
All right, so we're going to have to wait and see. Indiana is going to be the top seed. They're going to get the first round bye. We don't see a world where Ohio State does not have a first round bye, do we?
Absolutely not.
No. This game was too close. It was too good for them not to be considered one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country.
Last thing, as we sit here and look in the crystal ball, we saw what Ohio State did a year ago, obviously after losing to Michigan. And that's the weird thing. This team has not lost a football game since they lost to Michigan back in 2024, and they've done nothing but win. They certainly faced adversity. Ryan Day knew what it took to do it a year ago. Does he have that magic still in him, Tyvis?
I believe so. I think that last year it came from after they lost that game, they had that meeting with his players, and it was a thing where everybody got to voice their opinions. And I think he learned in that moment how much he has from these players, how much they love and respect him, and I think he gave that love and respect back, and I think that's where the magic happened. But he put them in a vulnerable position. I think that they might need to have those tough conversations again because in this situation where the game got close, a lot of questionable things happen, and you got to be able to answer to why that happened. Why weren't you able to still be calm and make some of the calls and all those things? I think that's where the film comes in, and I think talking to your players would definitely help you out.
Definitely a learning lesson for Ohio State, Nicole. The other thing is, I would think these guys all have, they're proud.
Yeah.
They're competitive. They did not like losing to Indiana. They did not like playing second fiddle to Indiana. And there's a really good shot that these 2 teams could meet again. We saw what happened a year ago when Ohio State lost to Oregon and what they did to them in the Rose Bowl. You look in your crystal ball. Do you see a rematch with these guys maybe in the national title game?
Absolutely. And if I'm Ohio State, give me the Hoosiers. I want Indiana. I want to face this team again. They know what a guy like Fernando Mendoza can do. They know what this Indiana defense is capable of. And they've got all the film they possibly could need. I mean, you look at this entire season with the Hoosiers, but then you watch this game between these 2 teams. If I'm Ryan Day and the rest of these Buckeyes, I'm circling Indiana as the team I want to face in Miami, hands down. And I think we could very well see it.
Last thing, not to make excuses, it was a hectic week last week. You had the signing day.
Yeah.
You had Brian Hartline announcing that he was leaving. You had the whole Chris Henry Jr., was he coming?
Yeah.
You know, and oh yeah, you got to play for the Big Ten title game. Ryan Day's never going to make excuses, but I don't know. You know, you want to keep the routine. They had a lot of distractions.
They did. And I think that the difference between Ryan Day this year and last year is I think he did a really good job of blocking out the noise. This is the first week where it was just chaotic. And I think as a head coach, it was your duty to be able to handle Brian Hartline leaving, to be able to handle recruiting, be able to handle trying to get Chris Henry Jr. to sign and all those things. So it definitely played a part into that. I think the Brian Hartline thing is the one that really mixed things up, because when you talk about play calling duties, is he still calling the plays? Are you taking that responsibility back? Is you giving it to somebody else to see what they'll be like in the future for next year? I think that played a major part in this game.
All right, he is the great Tyvis Powell. By the way, the 2014 MVP of the national title game. And who'd you beat in that game?
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. And say it again. Who'd you beat?
Oregon.
Yeah, well.
The Ducks.
I never get tired of hearing that. The MVP and the one and only Nicole Sheeran.
Thank you.
Once again, we will have a complete breakdown coming up later here from 12 to 1. And we will see the bracket. We will see where the Buckeyes are heading. I personally think they should be number 2. It'll be interesting to see if they move Georgia up to 3 or up to 2. We'll see. But Ohio State's been number 1 for the longest time. But, you know, it's been a while since they lost a game. Hopefully this is a wake-up call, and hopefully it leads to bigger and better things. Keep it on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan for all the best Buckeye coverage there is.